Hey guys, it's Nikas. Welcome to Anonymous Buddha. This is a place where you can find the intersection between spiritual awakening and enlightenment. So today I'd like to talk about step one. Step one is one of those steps I've heard that people say it's the only step you need to do perfectly, and I quite honestly don't have any idea what that means. um, I suppose. I mean, it's in admittance that I'm powerless, right? So, step one says, admitted we're powerless and that our lives have become unmanageable. So that first part, admit, right? So to admit would mean the true definition of admit is to confess to be true, usually with hesitation. And it's that usually with hesitation part that kind of was me. It was like and that our lives are unmanageable. I think that the unmanageability part is just like if you don't believe that this is such a problem, you're not going to be willing to look for a solution. So it admitted we were powerless. What is powerless, right? That's the obvious question, because I came into this thing and I said, no, you don't know. You don't know me. I'm powerful. I can get my name in the newspaper. I can get my name in Allure magazine. I can build this. I can do that. And so my sponsor looked at me and he says, so did you say you were never going to get loaded again? And I says, well, yeah. He says, how many times did you say that? I says, I don't know, like 100. And he says, but then did you get loaded again? I said, yeah. He says, so like 100 times? And he says, how many times? I said, yeah. He says, okay, but did you mean it when you said, oh, I'm never gonna do that again? I said, yeah, I guess when I said it, I really meant it. He goes, okay, so let me get this straight. You said I'm gonna never do it again. You did it again, but you really meant it when you said you were gonna never do it again. I said, yeah. He goes, bro, I don't know, but to me, it seems like you might be powerless over your ability to get loaded or to not get loaded. And I had to kind of think for a second. He might be right. He says, dude, this is not like, are you powerless to like build an empire? Are you powerless to get laid? Are you powerless to, no, it's just, are you powerless of whether or not you're going to get loaded at any given point? And what I mean by loaded is, drunk or pills or heroin or whatever. Just, I like to say, like, do you do the thing again that you said you were never going to do again? So in my humble opinion, that's the first part of that is the obsession. That's the first part of the disease, right? I say I'm never going to do it again, but stone cold sober, I do the thing again that I said I was never going to do again, right? So somehow a thought enters my mind. Sorry. Somehow a thought enters my mind that gets me to do that thing when I'm stone cold sober. Sorry. So that right there that's alcoholic thinking, and what I learn on what page is it? Page like page 23 in the book is the last time it talks about drinking. It says, these observations would be academic if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind, right? So I don't got a drinking problem. I got a thinking problem, right? Because my thoughts are the thing that lead me to do the thing that I said I was never going to do again. So, admitted I'm powerless is really just seeing that, wow, I have a thinking problem that's not working in my best interest. I mean, I want to think that my thought process is not going to work against me. However, my past shows me that my mind is actually working against me in this situation. Once I kind of finally really got it that I was powerless, like, wow, okay, like I get it. Is I had a friend who kept get beaten up by his boyfriend, gay guy, um, and his boyfriend kept like bashing in the windows to his car, and he'd just go back to him and oh he didn't mean it, he didn't, he just it just. And one day the guy came up my stairs and he was like bloody. We had to take him to the ER. And he's just promised, I'm never going to go back to him. I'm done. That's it. I'm going to call the police. I'm going to put him in jail. The guy already had arrest warrants and whatnot. And I called him the next day to see how he was doing. And he goes, hey, I can't talk right now. I'm hanging out with the guy. And I was just like, oh my God, that's powerlessness, right? He's powerless over this relationship. And I was like, that's just like me with drinking or using. I say I'm not going to do it, but I'll be damned if the next day I ain't doing it. So really, this whole step one is just this admittance, like some core admittance. And I suppose if it's said that it's the only one you have to do, you really have to really get that core admittance down. The first 60 pages of the book, my book's over here. The first 60 pages of the book are devoted to step one and step two, right? I mean, step three doesn't happen until chapter 5. So really, the doctor's opinion and the first 4 chapters are designed to get you to understand that, I might be one of these. This sort of speaks to me, right? So the problem is outlined in the doctor's opinion and Bill's story. The solution is the end of Bill's story. The solution, more about alcoholism, and we agnostics, right? That tells us all about the solution, right? And starting from chapter 5 on shows you how to go from the problem to the solution. So, but if you think about it, everything before chapter 5, right? Everything that side is all about step 1 and step 2. There's a great line on page 30, and people say, "Where? I don't see step 1 in the book." Well, step 1's really clear in the book. It's right there in that more about alcoholism first page. And let's just read it. Most of us have been unwilling to admit. Right? We're in denial. I don't want to. That we're real alcoholics. Right? So a few pages back, it talked about the difference between a hard drinker, a moderate drinker, a hard drinker, and a real alcoholic. So a moderate drinker and a hard drinker can stop on their own power if something becomes operative in their life that it's a good reason. The hard drinker might need some hospitalization, but once he does, he can stop. But the real alcoholic, right? The guy who's the real alcoholic, he's lost the control. It's no longer his decision whether or not he drinks. In fact, let me read that little power list, right? So the fact that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, can't see it, right? Clouds covering the sky, I can't obscure, have lost the power and choice and drink. That's it. The power to choose whether or not to get loaded is not mine. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times, exactly when you need it, right? The most important times. We're at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and the humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink. So the whole obsession of the mind, allergy of the body is the thing that happens after you drink. Obsession of the mind is thought so strong, and obsession is a thought so strong that comes into your head, pushes out all the other thoughts to the contrary that might actually help you out. Be like, no, don't do it. This is not going to be good, right? But this one lie comes in and says, oh, you can do this. It's going to be fine. Nobody will know. You're fine. This is easy peasy. You can drink a little bit and that's it. Or, do just a little bit of whatever. And you'll be fine tomorrow. And the truth is, once we actually do that thing that we said we're not going to do again, then that phenomenon of craving kicks in. And once I start, I can't stop. In fact, I have no desire to stop, really. I mean, if let's be honest here, once I start actually getting loaded, the last thing I want to do is stop getting loaded. Right? So, that's really what that whole powerlessness thing is. So back to page 30. No one likes to think he's bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Of course not. I don't want to admit that I'm like not like my friends. I want to be the cool guy, right? Therefore, it's not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts, right? Vain is like hollow, futile, just not going to work. To prove he could drink like other people. The idea that somehow, someday he would control and enjoy his drinking. It's funny, my sponsor used to tell me, I said, dude, if I'm controlling my drinking, I'm certainly not enjoying it. And I was like, yeah, if I'm rationing whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm not enjoying it because I'm a full bore. I like to do it. I like to just go balls to the wall. So, yeah, control and enjoy don't really go well together for me. Is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. The persistence of this illusion, the illusion that I can control and enjoy my drinking, is the great obsession. Many pursue it into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. So this is the first step in recovery. Right? So where's the first step? It's located on page 30. Right? So if the first 60 pages... Sorry, it's like hell hot here. And they're doing construction next door. So the first 60 pages is all about step 1 and step 2. So up to this point, right, I'm really, the book is convincing me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I guess I am. This is me, right? So I'm not going to, the only reason I would seek a solution called God, because I'm not a godly person, I'll tell you that right now. The only reason I would consider doing that is because I realize that I've got a problem that apparently, as it says in the we agnostics, apparently only a spiritual experience will conquer. So, but I have to be convinced. Actually, there's a line at the end of the reading in chapter 5 that says, our description of the alcoholic, the chapter of the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, we're an alcoholic, cannot manage our own life. Step 1. B, that probably no human power could relieve our alcoholism. First part of step 2. C, that God could and would if he were sought. That's the second part of step 2. Right? So really, up to this point, right, it is trying to really get you to be convinced of step 1 and step 2, right? Make clear 3 pertinent ideas, step 1 and step 2. We got to make sure you get that. The very next line, by the way, says being convinced. We're at step 3. So if you're not convinced of those, in the original manuscript, in the back of my book, I've got the original manuscript. In the original manuscript, it says, if you are not convinced by this point, we suggest you reread the book up to this point, and if not, throw it away. That's how they were, yeah. So really, so the whole goal here, the summary, is this step is all just about admitting, wow, you know what, this thing that's happening in my life is not going away. In fact, if I'm honest about it and I look, it's probably getting worse. I can see, and if I can't admit that there's a problem, then I'm certainly not going to look for a solution. Yeah. So lost the power in choice. That's all powerless means. Powerless means that I don't have a choice anymore. And once I admit that, then I'm on my way to step 2.